So hard to believe that I'm back in this cell. I was interned here in this prison, Armagh, 42 years ago, and this was my cell. As soon as I came in, I recognised the floor, the blue floor which I painted. The walls were covered in my poetry, and so also is the ceiling, but it has been painted over and the paint's off. I'm here today and I want to read some of the poems that I had on the wall, and also some of the poems I wrote afterwards. It's about my life here and my life afterwards. So I'll start with the first poem, which was to my silent church. I wrote this poem out of frustration and disappointment with the Catholic Church in 1973 in relation to Republican prisoners. To my silent church, silence or cell, divided nations conquer well. For imitation love of peace, give all up to the oppressor, lose all, forget those who have given all, so you can live in your imitation home made of imitation security. Silence or cell, I chose cell. My words were quiet, but I was not silent. I did not want the cell. It came because I could not bear the silence. The silence was imitation, not truth, incomprehensible. Christ died because he could not stand the silence. Because of your silence, I am condemned to be without freedom. I am therefore dead. Speak now, silent church. The next poem, it's a romantic poem which I wrote to a prisoner in Longkesh who I corresponded with. And it's called Imprisoned Lovers. If I could wander with the night and be myself unseen, I'd travel to your place of sleep and dream with you your dream. But I can't travel with the night, nor be myself unseen. I can only, in my sleep, dream alone or dream. The next poem I wrote, I was interned and went before the farcical play called The Commissions, which we were brought to a kangaroo court up in Longkesh before a judge. And I'll just read out what I wrote about the poem. I wrote this to Willie Whitelaw in 1974 after I was re-interned by Commissioner Wally. I was his first case in Ireland. He had just come straight back here from South Africa, where he had been interning and re-interning black South Africans for the previous 2 years. He said he knew I was telling lies because he could tell that I was speaking in a voice that was alien to me. I rest my case. I know, as everyone does, that time is precious, but to our British jailers, that just wasn't enough. They wanted to take everything from us, especially our spirit. To Willie Whitelaw, 1974. So you think you can change me, rearrange me, my beliefs, steal my mind, take my time? Lock me in this cell. You fool. You can't see. I have a mind, strong and fine. one united with my flesh. You'll never change me, rearrange me, my beliefs steal my mind. And all you've taken is my time. So we go on from that to, this is about Sunningdale. Peace is made up of so many things. It's not just the silence of the gun and the bomb. I wrote this during the Sunningdale talks in '73. Peace or quiet. Stop the violence and peace will come. But they forgot Chaplin's dead. What fools believe the untruths they've said. If all nonconformists were buried, peace would come, they think. Common sense says it would. And common sense says it would stink. And that was because in 1973-74, some people say the peace process is for the Sunningdale slow learners. Well, what I would like to know from those people is, when would unionism have apologised to us, the minority here, the oppressed minority, for their 50 years of misrule? In 1973-74, the unionist government, which dominated our country, were not prepared to say that they were wrong. This is another romantic poem. Can't remember who I wrote this for or to. To love. If never I should see your face, or in your arms embrace your embrace, for want of joy, how could I be like the butterfly, eternally free? And so in this life could I exist, if never more should I enjoy that kiss that gave me life and destroyed the death that innermost loneliness had made, while I became its unwilling slave. Now, the last poem I would like to read, I wrote this poem one Sunday afternoon in my mother's kitchen. The year was 1972. The person I wrote it for went to Lenadoon and never returned. To me, anyway. It's called Go Then to Lenadoon. Go then to Lenadoon and take yourself from me, for yonder gives you hope that tomorrow might be free, while soldiers fire their guns and you are gone from me. Come back from Lenadoon and bring yourself to me. Leave aside your Armagh light, for love will set us free. But like the truce in Lenadoon, our love was not to be. This poem is written about my experience when I was arrested and interned, and it happened in the dungeons of Musgrave Street barracks in Belfast. And I just read out what I've written about the poem. This poem is about the one and only RUC man who treated me like a human being when I was arrested and held in Town Hall Street dungeons from Friday to Monday night. I asked him to turn the cell light on, as I was afraid of the dark. He turned it on and told me to tell the other RUC men, if they asked why the light was on, just to say that he'd forgotten to switch it off. And it's called George and the Terrorist. His name was George. He was a good man. She thanked him with a prayer, and as he wrote her name, she could hear the others swear. Terrorist bastard, Fenian her, we should have threw her out in Sandy Row. And still, he wrote her name, the inoffensive player in the game, different and yet the same. History was theirs to blame. The hours to come were filled with fear. Sexual vulgarity seemed the norm in the vocabulary of the Royal Ulster Constabulary. So she sat and turned herself off like Christmas tree lights on a Christmas day, the silent player reluctant to play. And still, George was a good man. She saw him for what he was. The uniform didn't matter. It disappeared when he spoke.